Inspiration Station, Worship 94.5 FM. Your man RoJay holding it down. And I've been waiting all week for this, man. Living legend, Kwame, tapping in tonight. Got a new album to discuss and a few other things, but yeah, we're going to get to it all. First and foremost, my man Kwame. How are you doing, man?
Everything is everything, man. No complaints. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all for me. Listen, it's been about 20 plus years, 24, 25, 26 years since you've blessed us on the artist end. You've been doing your thing, producing, writing, film, TV, scores, things of that nature, but it's been a while since you've been on the artist end for us. What made you return to bless us with the music, man?
A few things. I think on a low end, this is a very low end of it because I'm not like a vain type of person, but on the low end, I just felt like a lot of times I was being overlooked in the hip hop conversation, which is, it is what it is. I don't mind that. But what I do mind is I know that my skill set is very high and I don't want to be overlooked in a conversation when I could compete in that space. I could still compete in that space and I could still give viable music. So part of me was like, let me show these people, you know what I'm saying? But that's just a little bit. That's not like a whole big thing. But then also I'm Generation X, or I'm told I am Generation X. And, a lot of people in my generation, we make a lot of plays. We program radio stations and television stations and direct movies, and we do all these things that feed content to the masses. But I rarely see anything fed to us, by us, for us. So I wanted to be able to come out with an album from the perspective of I'm of a generation and I want to speak to my generation. I want to speak to my generation through nostalgia. I want to speak to my generation through real life experiences that I might be going through or people that I know are going through, and be as transparent as possible as an artist and actually do real art, not doing a record for the radio or a record for the clubs or something for something that you might not be, but doing something 100% genuine. So that was the real push to get me to put a record out.
Gotcha. And of course you got your own swag, your own style, creating trends or what have you. But I know the album title seems to have a special meaning for you.
Yeah, The Different Kids. The Different Kids is just basically saying that you don't have to fit into the boxes that people put you in. From the time you're like 4 or 5 years old, people tell you what you got to do. And especially us Black Americans. Black people don't do that. We don't listen to this. We don't eat that. We got to wear this. We got to act like that. We got to talk like this. And it's like we're trained to be in our boxes. We're trained to fall in line and just do things, I guess, the quote unquote normal way. And when anybody decides to do something different, you looking at them like they got 4 eyes on the top of their head and they shouldn't do that. So my whole life, I've just been different. I've dressed different. I've made music differently. I conduct myself in a different way. So I'm like, I got to embrace that. I got to put this in a body of work and be like, you know what? It's not a problem to be a quote unquote different kid, because when you do things the different way, when you do things your own way and you decide to do things the way you want to do them, you have a 100% success rate. There's zero failure in it because you had an idea, you had a vision, and you did it. And you achieved that. It has nothing to do with money or fame or anything like that. It's about having an idea and stepping forward with your idea. So that's what the album is about. That's what The Different Kids encapsulates. And it's about those people that choose to be themselves and express themselves.
Man, I love it. Now listen, lovers, I have more on the way with my man Kwame. I want you to keep it locked right here, Inspiration Station, Worship 94.5 FM. You're tapped into the love offering, your Inspiration Station, Worship 94.5 FM. Your man RoJay still holding it down with my man Kwame. Got a new album out, The Different Kids. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please be sure to hit up your streaming platforms and do just that. Now, Kwame, I think the song that I bounced the hardest to for sure off the project was "You Ain't Gotta Lie."
See, You Ain't Gotta Lie. You know, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that record up because there was a glitch in the Matrix when the album first dropped, and You Ain't Gotta Lie wasn't on the album.
Oh, wow.
It was left out. And somebody was like, I'm listening to the album. Somebody who knew the album. I'm listening to the album, and You Ain't Gotta Lie is not on the album. And I didn't double check. I was like, what you talking about? They're like, go on Spotify and listen to the album. And then I saw on Spotify and on Apple Music, and I looked on everyone, it was only 15 songs, and You Ain't Gotta Lie was gone. And I was like, yeah, I started freaking out because You Ain't Gotta Lie, the song afterwards, those songs go together. They connect. So I'm like, yo, your people are not getting what I'm trying to say. And You Ain't Gotta Lie is a very important record because it's like the record talks about we are so consumed with going online, scrolling, swiping, posting for other people's acceptance, seeing who's creeping in our DMs, getting hype, following them back. And we're so consumed about that, but we don't ever want to admit to it. And I'm like, yo, you ain't gotta lie. You doing this? I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just in my zone doing that. But the song is abrupted at the end by somebody saying like, yo, stop being in your own head, man. This ain't about, you tripping, you making all this, it's too personal. But it's the truth. And I find myself doing that. I find myself waking up, say if I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I pick up that phone and I hit Instagram. The next thing I know is 9 o'clock. I'm like, yo, what was I doing for those 3 hours? You don't even realize it. And you didn't learn nothing new. The only thing you learned new is this rapper got beef with that rapper, or this one got shot, or this challenge, this new dance challenge that you are never going to do. So it's like, don't lie about it. Understand it and understand what it is and understand what it's doing to you. So that's what You Ain't Gotta Lie is about.
Gotcha. Now I love Kwame to Kwame, your younger self versus your current self. And I know your younger self had a lot of dreams and aspirations, what you wanted to do, what you wanted to accomplish in life. Would your younger self be proud of current day Kwame?
Oh man, my younger self would be hype because and when you listen to Kwame, I'm literally telling my younger self, you could get everything that you want. You just ain't gonna get it now. You thought you was gonna get it now, but nah, homie, it's about to go left real quick. But if you think the right way and if you maneuver the right way, you will get everything you wanted and then some. I've achieved things. And trust me, this is not a flex by any means necessary. But
you
when I was
flex, Kwame.
No, it's not a flex. Like when I was a kid, all I wanted was like a gold record. I wanted to put out my album, and I wanted my album to go gold. And the record label that I was on, Atlantic Records, kind of robbed me of that experience. They kept saying, you had to sell 500,000 copies to go gold. And they were like, oh man, you're at 420,000. I'm like, yo. Then it was like, you're at 460,000. I'm like, yo, come on. What is it? What do we have to do? Do I have to go buy the other 40,000? Like, why can't I get my gold record? And I was just focused on that. But then you fast forward to 2025 and I look at my wall, like beyond this camera, and I'm like, yo, I'm looking at 20 platinum plaques on the wall. I'm looking at 10 gold plaques on the, and I'm like, none of them are my first album, but at the end of the day, I didn't think I was going to achieve that. I didn't think I was going to be a producer and a writer and do all this stuff for all these other people. I thought I was just going to make Kwame records and get a gold album. That's all I wanted at 16. So I always, and this is very important, and it might sound weird, but I think that we're all still our 5-year-old self, our 10-year-old self, our 15-year-old self, our 20-year-old selves. And we got to be in tune with that. We got to be able to sit up, whether it's at night, whether it's in the morning or the middle of the day, and really remember who you were at a specific age. And you remember that and you get back in touch with it and you have a conversation. Did I become what I wanted to be at 10? You're not going to forget. You may suppress it, but you're not going to forget. And if you didn't become that, it's fine. But would your 10-year-old self be impressed, at least?
Mm-hmm.
Or would your 10-year-old self be, or your 12-year-old self, or your 15-year-old self be disappointed? Like, imagine if your 15-year-old self walked in the room and be like, oh, dog, what are you doing? Like, you doing that? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's your purest version of yourself. So you should always try to, at least acknowledge that. You may not achieve all of it, but if you acknowledge it, you walk through life in a different way. And so that song Kwame to Kwame was literally that therapy for me to be able to finally, because it's literally me opening up about things about myself that I probably never opened up to anyone but to myself. So to have that put on a record and say that, and with no shame about it, I'm like, yo, this is, dog, you about to go do it. You about to go do it in a real way.
Nah, because that self-reflection is real, so I get that. Now, we're not done, Kwame, so we got a little more time to hang out. We're going to circle back, talk about a few more things before I let you go. Lovers, be sure to keep it locked right here. More on the way, the Inspiration Station, Worship 94.5. You're tapped into the love offering, your Inspiration Station, Worship 94.5 FM. Your man RoJay holding it down with my man Kwame. New album, The Different Kids, out right now. Now, Kwame, you've been doing a lot for the culture, period. But outside of this new album, you've produced and written some of my favorite R&B records. But before I let you know my favorites, do you have any favorites, any personal favorite R&B records that you've written or produced?
I don't have any favorites. They're all like kids of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an artist. This last, I produced, on my label, I produced this artist, Vivian Green. And this last album that she put out is called Love Absolute.
Very familiar.
Yeah. That album, I feel like I put my whole body into that album. And I think the album didn't gain the traction that we may have wanted, I guess, on an outward point of view, like an industry thing.
Mm-hmm.
But inward, both of us are so proud of that body of work because, like, we went in under small circumstances. We recorded that album in a small little room. We didn't go into a big studio. None of that. And so that body of work I'm really proud of. There's another artist on the R&B side that may not have had like the super big recognition, but I love the body of work that I've done with an artist named Algebra Blissett out of Atlanta. Well, I've worked on both her albums, but her second album, there's a record called Can I Keep You? In my mind, that record is ridiculous because it started out one way and then I got a full-on orchestra to play on it, and I went in my bag on that record. And it's just a little known record, but I love that record. I love that record a lot. And people are familiar with the artist RoJay. If you're familiar with RoJay, there was an independent record we did before he even got a record deal called Pledge Allegiance. That's the record that got him his deal, but it didn't, politics didn't put the record on the album. But I love that record. I think that's a dope record. And those are just like three of like maybe I gotta have a top 5, top 10, but those 3 R&B records I really love. And then on the hip hop side, there's a rapper named. These are all like underground stuff that I like more than but there's a rapper named O Solo. Okay. And we did a record for this movie called Stomp the Yard. And no, Step Up. I did this record for the movie Step Up 2. And it's a record called Monster by this artist named O Solo. Yo, I love that record. That record, when I tell you that record makes you want to either dance your neck off or run outside and punch somebody in the face. I don't know which one. But It's that kind of record. So those are my personal favorite record.
Gotcha.
And since we got a little more time, I definitely want to give you your flowers because I have some favorite Kwame records as well, especially all of the work that you've done with my girl Vivian Green since you guys linked up for her Vivid album. And I would say definitely one of my top picks is I'm Not Broken.
Yes.
Sweet Home, of course, and Disrespectful. Those are like my top three. But
Disrespectful. I didn't even get into that.
Yeah. So like she's one of my favorites. So like I'll top those. Very, very, very addicted to Christina Aguilera's Understand.
Yeah.
So I gotta let you know about that. I want to give you your flowers
That
on
record,
that one.
I made that beat for Whitney Houston.
Oh, word. Okay.
That record
so how did it get in the hands of Christina?
He stole it. No. I made that beat for Whitney. Clive Davis called me personally and was like, we're working on, which ended up being Whitney's last album. We're working on Whitney's record and we really need some like soulful, deep records. And so I immediately made that record. I made that beat. And at the time I was working on Keisha Cole. Her A&R, her president of her label is a guy named Ron Fair. And Ron Fair also knows how to write string arrangements. So when I played the beat for Understand, I was like, Ron, I know this is not on your label. I know this has nothing to do with you, but I love your string arrangements. Can you put string arrangements to this beat? He said, yeah, if you give it to Christina Aguilera. I was like, well, he was like, look, did they pay you for the Whitney record? I was like, no. Are they moving forward like in a good manner? I was like, no. So at least let her write to it and see how it comes out. And so when we did it, we were in the studio and then he brought the string arrangers in. I was like, oh, I can't let this record go now. This is yours, Chris. So Christina Aguilera ended up with it.
Man, I love hearing stories behind a record like that. That's pretty interesting. I never would have known. Never would have known, man. I got a very important question to ask you as we wrap up. When we come back, lovers, keep it locked. Got more with my man Kwame on the way right here, your inspiration station. Worship 94.5 FM. You're tapped into the love offering, your inspiration station, Worship 94.5 FM. Your man RoJay holding it down with my man Kwame. Has a new album, The Different Kids, out right now. Please be sure to support that on your favorite streaming platforms. And we've talked about a lot. Not only the album, your legacy, you've done writing and production for some of our favorite R&B artists, rap artists as well. And you've done scores for film and TV. So you've done a lot. And on this album, you have a track called Miss Mary Mac and a line that says, don't call me a legend yet. So with all the things that you've done and things you have yet to do, like what would it take for you to personally take that title of legend on?
I can't take it on because I won't be here. You understand? That title goes to people who I feel aren't here anymore.
Okay.
So it's not up to me. Even if people call me that now, it's not up to me. I will never call myself that. Ever, ever, ever in my lifetime. Here, now. I'm never going to do that. So, I'm always like, I feel like I'm always like, for my next trick, I got this. For my next, I'm always trying to do that. So for my thing, I think people can call things legendary. If this album resonates with people the way I would love it to, that could possibly be a legendary thing. Because like, who takes 26 years off and then jumps back in like, they never left, or even possibly better? I don't know too many people who do that. I haven't done that research, but I guess somebody can think that's a legendary move. I don't know. But all I know is my job is to create. My job is to try to push a boundary and try to do something before somebody else does it. And hopefully, if I reach the point where I'm like some super old, looking like Yoda, and people want to talk to me about it, dope. If I can stay with the Star Wars thing, if I'm a Jedi ghost and people want to talk about it, dope. But it's not for me to talk about. I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Gotcha. Well, Kwame, I appreciate your time, my boy. I know you got
Thank
a long
you.
day ahead of you. Congratulations on the new release. And,
Thank you.
We'll be on the eyes. We'll be watching out for you.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Have a good one.
Once again, the different kids out on your streaming platforms right now. My man Kwame, appreciate you once again. Lovers, keep it locked. Have so much more on the way for you right here at your Inspiration Station. Worship 94.5 FM.